को कोविड हो गया, जहाँ वो पैनिक लाइक सिचुएशन होता है, देन इट बिकम्स अ प्रॉब्लम। अदरवाइज यहाँ पे कोपिंग जो है
जी
वो
हाँ, जी हाँ।
इजी
अच्छा,
हो गई।
अब चूंकि ये वो कर रहे हैं रिकॉर्डिंग, तो अब यू कैन
जी
स्टॉप।
जी, इंशाल्लाह। तो बताएंगे हमको, हम स्टार्ट कर देंगे इंशाल्लाह।
जी।
अकबर साहब, अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाह।
वालेकुम सलाम।
तो मेरा ख्याल 5 मिनट वेट कर ले, चूँकि थोड़ा लोग आ रहे हैं, अभी ज्वाइन कर
जी हाँ,
रहे
जी
हैं।
हाँ, जी हाँ, बिल्कुल कर लीजिए।
5 मिनट के बाद शुरू कर सकते हैं।
जी हाँ, जी।
सर हम अशरफ बोल रहे हैं सर। तो हम मुश्किल से 5-6 मिनट बोलेंगे, ठीक है ना सर, शुरू में
हाँ
इंट्रोडक्शन।
हाँ, बिल्कुल 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 बिल्कुल। इंट्रोड्यूस करवाना है आप।
जी।
हाँ, पहले कुरान पाक तिलावत के लिए कर दीजिए स्टार्टिंग होकर, उसके बाद इंट्रोड्यूस करवाना मुझे फिर।
तो 5 मिनट हमको कितना वक्त, यानी
हाँ
5-6 मिनट वक्त सही है ना सर?
हाँ, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, इंट्रोड्यूस करवाए, बस उसके बाद छोड़ दीजिए, आफ्टर दैट। और मेरे लेक्चर के बाद यू कैन कंक्लूड।
जी इंशाल्लाह।
बस।
जज़ाक
Ashraf Bhai, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh there.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Brother
How are
Wael,
you?
how are you? كيف
How are
الحال?
you? Professor
Alhamdulillah.
Akbar Saab. Professor Akbar Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sir, how are you? I'm that much excited to see you, to hear you, to learn more and more from you. So long.
Jazakallah khair, inshallah. Same here, Brother
So,
Wael.
I'm so sorry that it is so long, really. Dunya, what to say? Dunya.
Yeah.
अशरफ साहब तो मेरा ख्याल अब शुरू किया जाए, वक्त हो गया है।
Yes, you can
वो
start.
recital करना था ना कुरान।
हाँ जी, तिलावत करते हैं।
Ajja.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू।
Walaikum salam.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। लक़द कान लकुम फ़ी रसूलिल्लाहि उस्वतुन हसनतुन लिमन कान यरजुल्लाह वल यौमल आखिर वज़करल्लाह कसीरा। वलम्मा रअल मुअमिनून अल अहज़ाब क़ालू हाज़ा मा वअदना अल्लाहु व रसूलुहु वसदक़ल्लाहु व रसूलुहु वमा ज़ादहुम इल्ला ईमाना व तस्लीमा। मिनल मुअमिनीन रिजालुन सदक़ू मा आहदुल्लाह अलैहि फमिनहुम मन क़ज़ा नहबहु व मिनहुम मन यंतज़िर वमा बद्दलू तब्दीला। लियजज़िय अल्लाहु अस्सादिक़ीन बिसिद्क़िहिम व युअज़्ज़िबल मुनाफ़िक़ीन इन शाअ औ यतूब अलैहिम इन्नल्लाह कान गफ़ूरर रहीमा। दर हकीकत तुम लोगों के लिए अल्लाह के रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की ज़िंदगी में एक बेहतरीन नमूना मौजूद है। हर उस शख्स के लिए जो अल्लाह और यौम आखिरत का उम्मीदवार हो और कसरत से अल्लाह को याद करे। और सच्चे मोमिनों, जब उन्होंने हमलावर लश्करों को देखा तो पुकार उठे कि ये वही चीज़ है जिसका अल्लाह और उसके रसूल ने हमसे वादा किया था। अल्लाह और उसके रसूल की बात बिल्कुल सच्ची थी। इस वाक़े ने उनके ईमान और उनकी सुपुर्दगी को और ज़्यादा बढ़ा दिया। ईमान लाने वालों में ऐसे लोग मौजूद हैं जिन्होंने अल्लाह से किए हुए अहद को सच कर दिखाया है। उनमें से कोई अपनी नज़र पूरी कर चुका और कोई वक्त आने का मुंतज़िर है। उन्होंने अपने रवैये में कोई तब्दीली नहीं की। ये सब कुछ इसलिए हुआ ताकि अल्लाह सच्चों को उनकी सच्चाई की जज़ा दे और मुनाफिकों को चाहे तो सज़ा दे और चाहे तो उनकी तौबा कबूल करे। बेशक अल्लाह माफ़ करने वाला और रहम फरमाने वाला है। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम।
Jazakallah khair, brother. And now I guess it's my turn. So let me introduce the thing that is going to happen here. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrali sadri yasli amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum, dear audience and attendees. First of all, I would like to appreciate and thank Dr. Manzoor Alam Khan Sahib and Brother Rashid Anwar Sahib and other IOS patron who provided us this platform to conduct this virtual webinar to share some tangible researches being conducted in the field of Islamic psychology by our great speaker, Professor Dr. Akbar Hussain Sahib. I'm Syed Ashraf Imam, a licensed clinical psychologist based in California, United States, and a blessed student of my mentor and a great teacher, Professor Akbar Hussain Sahib. I'm humbled and honored to have this opportunity to be here in this session with our mentor, Dr. Akbar Hussain Sahib. So he has many feather in his hat and has immense contribution in the field of applied psychology. Professor Hussain was Professor Hussain Sahab was awarded DLit degree in psychology in 2015 for his work on exploration and application of spirituality in psychology. He has over 40 years of teaching and research experience, mashallah. He has supervised four postdoctoral and 36 PhD theses and 10 MPhil students. He has authored, co-authored, and edited 42 books and contributed more than 260 research papers and articles in the national and international journal of psychology and mental health. Professor Hussain has attended and presented papers, delivered his lectures and talks, and had been keynote speaker in many national and international conferences. Alhamdulillah. He had been the editor of prestigious scientific journal of national and international repute. He has standardized numerous psychological tests and completed several research projects. He is a member and life member of various national and international organizations of repute. Professor Hussain was offered founding membership of International Board of Transpersonal Association United States in 2009. He has visited several countries to attend conferences and on teaching assignments. Professor Hussain received Sir Syed Innovation Award in 2018 as an Outstanding Researcher of the Year. MashaAllah. For decades, he had tirelessly been conducting novel researches on various concepts such as spiritual values, virtues, spiritual fitness, idyllic personality, social support, spiritual coping, stress management, extension of taqwa and fitra scale, mashallah, that is wonderful in Islamic psychology, etc. His insightful researches in the area of spiritual and Islamic psychology has given rise to many publications, books, and has provided novel ideas in the treatment of mental illness and allied symptoms. In addition to his current interest in spiritual psychology, he is actively conducting researches in the area of clinical, health, positive, social, and counseling psychology. His topic today, entitled Analytical Model on Islamic Counseling, is very relevant amid this COVID-19 pandemic especially, and beyond this pandemic also. So he will be talking about some of the ready-to-use tools which would definitely make our journey of life easier and improve our mental, emotional, spiritual, as well as physical well-being, inshallah. That's the motive here. Islamic counseling is integrated with the source of knowledge, that is divine revelation, the Quran and the Sunnah. The main focus of Islamic counseling is to develop positive mental health of an individual through Iman, faith, ibadah, worship of God, and ikhlas, sincerity, suluk, behavior, salayat, skill, the knowledge, the power, sabr, patience, liaqat, ability, lihaz, respect and regard, lagaw, attachment, akhlaq, conduct, adab, good manners, and avrad, recital or wird, we can call it. Muhabbat, love. Murabbi, guardian, and muntahi, learned. These dimensions are straight from our faith, Islam, and the basis of Islamic counseling and psychology. So without further ado, our mentor is here, our speaker is here, Professor Janab Akbar Hussain Sahab. So I would invite Professor Akbar Hussain Sahab to enlighten us and share his wealth of knowledge and wisdom to make our life, inshallah, good. Jazakallah khair, khair al-jazain. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. At the outset, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Muhammad Manzoor Alam Sahab, Chairman, Institute of Objective Studies, New Delhi, for giving me an opportunity to share my views on Islamic counseling, as well as Mr. Rashid Anwar also deserve my appreciation for organizing this mega event, and one of my distinguished students, Dr. Syed Ashraf Imam, who is at present clinical psychologist in California state, and I feel proud that he's chairing the session because he's having practical knowledge. Frankly speaking, as compared to him, I am having more theoretical knowledge. So with this, again, I am going to present one model which I recently developed, and it has been published in one of my book on Quranic guidance, therapy, and Islamic counseling intervention. It has been published by the Institute of Objective Studies, and this book was released on 27th of March this year. So anyhow, I am going to present the model as far as the Islamic counseling is concerned. It has been recognized and acknowledged during the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, as well as the Hazrat Ali, Hazrat Imam. They also give due weightage to Islamic guidance and Islamic counseling. The role of Islamic counseling has been recognized in the discipline of counseling. So when I've got an opportunity to read one of the book written by Ghulam Hussain in the year 2018, this book was entitled In Islamic Counseling, and it was published from the Routledge. So then definitely it opens my eyes that this is area which needs to be integrated with the psychology as well as practiced. So Islamic counseling is integrated with the source of knowledge, that is divine revelation, the Quran, and the Prophet's practice, that is Sunnah. So the main focus of Islamic counseling is to develop positive mental health through submission to God, integration of material and spiritual life, regard for spiritual aspect of human being, and development of Islamic values, God consciousness, the purpose and meaning in life, involving the process of mutual responsibility, accountability, and healthy altruism. The model what I am going to present before you, it is integrated with the source of knowledge and the Prophet's practice. The main focus of Islamic counseling, as I told you just now, is to develop positive mental health in individual through Iman, Ibadah, and Ikhlas, Suluk, Salahiyat, and Sabr, Liaqat, Lihaz, and Lagav, Akhlaq, Adab, and Aurad, and Muhabbat, Murabbi, and Muntahi. So these dimensions are based on Islam and the basis of Islamic counseling. The earlier Ghulam Hussain and some other researchers in the past, they focus only three dimensions of Islamic counseling, that is Aqidah, faith or Iman, Ibadah, worship or prayer, and Akhlaq. But the model what I proposed you, I tried my level best to integrate a number of other concepts, not only these three concepts which seems to be more relevant rather than other concepts related to our purpose is to create a model of Islam based on the acronym and its need in Islam, so that researchers in counseling can realize the significance of Islam related concepts. To help clarify what our model describes, we have explained essentials of Islam. The proposed model will evolve with each essentials of Islam research finding. So in this, as I told you, that there are 15 essentials of Islam. So there are three main components of Islamic teaching, namely Aqidah, Ibadah, and Akhlaq, which are practiced by Islamic scholars to the understanding of Islam as a whole. So according to Musa, 1984, Islam is the religion of Allah, which is permanent and requires valid Aqidah and Ibadah. Similarly, Sabiq, 1985, states that Islam is the religion of Allah revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is Iman, faith, Aml, practice. So Iman is equivalent to Aqidah and form the basis of Sharia or law, and Aml complements Iman and Aqidah. So Muhammad Abdullah and Muhammad Abdul Halim explain that Islam is Aqidah and Ibadah. For Al-Sheikh, Islam is Aqidah and Sharia. According to Al-Bagha, Islam consists of three main components, Aqidah, Sharia, and Akhlaq. So similarly, Zaidan, 2000, explains Islam is a collection of teachings sent down by Allah to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which encompasses laws of aqidah, ibadah, and akhlaq. Thus, it can be deduced that the main components of Islamic teachings are contained in these three concepts. In Islam, human life is directed to a certain purpose and in the hands of Lord Supreme. So now I am going to explain these concepts one by one. To practice Islamic counseling, the 15 essentials of Islam are important. These can help the counselor if properly followed and cultivated. The counseling is most important for Muslims in particular and non-Muslims in general. So the first concept, which seems to be more important and relates well with the letter I, that is Iman. The Iman is important in counseling because it provides positive direction in a counselee's life. It guides a counselee to the state path that will lead to self-realization or self-satisfaction. It is the foundation upon which counseling or therapy is built. When Iman is established in the heart of counseling, the counselor gives counseling through words. The aim of an Islamic counselor is to establish Iman in the counselor. Iman provides the individual with the strength and ability to perform the essential duties in life and to improve his well-being. Thus, what I consider Iman is one of the essential elements of Islam related to counseling. The counselor should help the counselee to realize the importance of faith in counseling sessions because faith lays down the guidelines on which matters are permissible for counseling. Faith needs to be emphasized in counseling because it helps to raise awareness in the counseling. Faith is the foundation in exploring the meaning of life. If faith is strong, searching for the solution of a problem in life becomes easier, even if one is facing severe problems. The counselor should impress upon the counselee that a problem is a test from Allah, and the solution of every problem is with Allah. Here I would like to quote one of the prophetic saying, God has not sent down any disease without any medical cure. The counselor should apply the elements of faith in counseling because faith makes a person consider a problem as coming from Allah's sign of love for him. Faith can become strong through worship of God. Faith and prayer prevents a person from committing sins or vices and educate the soul to realize that every problem has its solution. The counselor may assess the faith of a Muslim counselee in 6 ways. That is faith in God, next Shahada, faith in the Holy Quran, obedience to God and His Messenger, Tawheed, unity, belief in Akhirah, that is hereafter. The counselor may ask following questions from the counselee. Like, do you believe that God exists? Next, do you believe that God has sent the book, the Holy Quran? Do you obey God and His Messenger? Do you believe in the unity of mankind? And the last question is there any life after life? So before proceeding with Islamic counseling, the answer of the counselor should be affirmative. During the opening phase of the counseling session, the counselor should give a brief orientation about faith and how it can help in healing of suffering. Faith is a very important factor in healing for believers. The counselor can quote some verses of the Quran related to faith before the counseling so that he can realize the significance of it. That is to say, God guides those who believe in Him. So I have come across 3 studies. One was conducted by Hamdan in 2008. Another study was conducted by Zahran in 1980. And the third study was conducted by Hasrim in 1986. And it was researched and spiritual guidance in Islamic counseling. So, and these studies are based on faith or belief or iman. The next intervention or the factor which can be linked with the I is ibadah. Ibadah is very important. That is worshipping God. Or prayer in Islam means then one has to spend his entire life in performing meditation through prayer. The counselor should explain to the counselee to worship God is to know Him, to love Him, to live one's life according to His commandment, to enforce His guidance in every aspect of life, to serve His cause by doing right and shunning evil, and to be just to Him, to ourselves, to our fellow human beings, and to all other creatures. So, ibadah in Islam is understood as all appears or all aspects which involve submission to God's command and avoiding all His prohibition. It was said by Al Ghazali, Rahmatullah alayhi. The ibadah directly connects a slave with his creator and returns him to the original purpose of the creation, that is, worship Allah. The ibadah in Islam is divided into 2 general and specific categories. One is called general ibadah, encompasses every action done to achieve God's pleasure, such as virtuous conduct and respect for Islam. And the specific ibadah means certain practices which a slave is responsible to do as training practice to improve his proper compliance, such as the 5 tenets of Islam: declaration of faith, prayer, zakah, alms, fasting, and hajj. It also encompasses the well-known religious obligations such as charity, umrah, and tilawat al-Quran. So in the context of counseling, the counselor may focus on a specific ibadah as individual prayers like charity, fasting, tilawat al-Quran, dhikr, and dua. The real purpose of prayer is to become conscious of Allah and to examine our actions. True prayer involves a change from within. If this does not take place, you may not have really prayed. The positive elements associated with prayer are: I also did analysis in the year 2018 when I wrote a book on applied Islamic psychology, in which I made an attempt to analyze the prayer. The P stands for the purification of the soul and heart. R, remembrance of Allah. A, alms giving. E, yearning. Y, yearning. E, eternal consciousness. And the last letter R, recovery. So the counselor may tell the counselee that prayer should be practiced until one observes that praying changes in one's life and behavior. So now I would like to explain uh, the another term, the third concept which seems to be related with the I is ikhlas, that is sincerity. In counseling, sincerity is very important. So this virtue leads to good intentions. While doing counseling, the counselor should be sincere to God and his patient. The counselor should be more sincere towards understanding of the patient's problem and for improving his well-being. Sincerity means being true to oneself and others. The sincerity is generally uh, understood to be truth in word and act. This spiritual virtue gives the message of purity of intention. We believe that sincerity of the counselor helps in maintaining integrity and enhances his ability to deal effectively with the client's problem. The counselor should be sincere in his profession and be able to demonstrate this virtue through his thoughts, feelings, and action. Sayyid Nursi said, "Do what you do only for God's sake, or start for God's sake and act within the spheres of God's good approval." This relates well with the role of a spiritual counselor. Sincerity is essential in healing profession. A counselor should show sympathetic understanding, reverence, and sincerity. In Islamic teaching, it is important that when we help, we should not hope for anything in return. If a counselor helps a client without expecting a reward, the process of helping becomes an act of sincerity. It is also part of an expression of the counselor's genuine concern for helping others. So sometimes the client may notice whether the counselor is making an effort to understand his problem. When sincerity is there, the client usually cooperates in counseling sessions. Therefore, we believe that this virtue is crucial for the counselor in order to enhance growth and development of clients. Another aspect of sincerity is to tell truth and practice what we tell to our client to practice. A counselor must mean what he or she says to the client. The counselor must be the doer of the advice he or she gives to the client. For example, if the counselor is advising the client to control anger, then the counselor must be able to control his or her own anger. This is supported by the Quran, chapter 16, verse 3. Allah says in the Quran, "It is most hateful in the sight of Allah that you say things which you do not do." From this verse, what is understood is that whatever the counselor does and say to the client, he must be realistic and practice. So sincerity resides in our heart. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Islam is a religion of nasiha, that is sincerity. If the counselor's carnal soul does not obey the advice of the counselor, then they should observe obedience. Then they will say, quote Surah Al-Ikhlas, "O soul, do you not understand what you did is not becoming of God? Say, God is one. God is the ever living, the unique." So when the counselor does counseling with sincerity, he feels satisfied. The counselor should realize that God is witness to his sincerity. So these are the three concepts to me which seems to be more related with the letter I. Now I come to the letter S, that is which stands for suluk. or behavior. The counseling is a process in which clients learn how to formulate new ways of behaving, feeling, and thinking. Counselor focus on the goals of the clients wish to achieve through suluk. Counseling involves both choice and change, evolving through good behavior, that is suluk. The measure of a person's iman is his behavior. The suluk of counselor depends upon relationship with the counseling. Therefore, it should be the foundational idea for Muslims. In traditional families, Muslims believe that suluk is something which is essential for life as a Muslim. There is a relationship between Islam and individual's behavior. Without individuals' good behavior, a community or society cannot manage to survive. Good behavior is always appreciated. People who dedicate their lives to being good for others without any selfish motives are truly moral. A spiritual person discovers many good principles to develop his personality. The suluk is very much needed for the counselor, and he can truly sustain it for the if he observes the goodness in behavior. Counselor should value improving the client's behavior and doing good to them. Values such as benevolence and goodness are linked with suluk. If we take out the essence of all moral laws, we shall find that the attempt to do good to mankind is the highest morality. To be a good counselor, one should be aware of one's own behavior. The counselor's role should be to cultivate the duty of perfecting order in the counseling through good behavior. Both counselor and the counselee should give more emphasis on the Islamic values and ideals in their behavior. And the second characteristic, which seems to be more related to the letter S of Islam, is salahiyat, that is skill. The skillfulness of the counselor can improve mental health problems of the counselor. The skill of the counselor can have significant improvement in clients' behavior. Skill of the counselor directs him in doing something important to the counselor. Skill gives insight or skill gives the right direction to the counselor. Skill is influenced by ability, intellect, knowledge of things, and constant thinking of the counselor towards the well-being of the counselee. Counselor can develop skill through training. The more faith a counselor demonstrates in his ability, the better the outcome will be. Skill should be developed by the counselor. Developing relationship skill is a necessary quality of a counselor. And the last letter, which is very related to the word letter S, is sabr, that is patience. So sabr means whether a man is visited to a blessing or a misfortune. He should consider it from the divine source and bear it patiently. Islamic counseling helps believers who have patience and strength. Allah the Exalted says, seek help in patience and as salat, the prayer, truly Allah is with as sabri, the patient. Quote Surah Al-Baqarah. And another verse in Surah Al-Baqarah is also there. And certainly we shall test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives, and fruits, but give glad tidings as Sabirin, the patient. And Surah 3, God surely loves those who are Sabri. Go next. O you who believe, endure and be more patient. Surah 3. And endure thou with patience, and verily the, thy patience is possible only with the help of Allah, and gives and grieves not for them, not feel distressed because of their plots. Verily Allah is with those who are righteous and those who do good. Surah 16. And another surahs are also there, like Surah 13. Only those who are patient shall receive their reward in full without reckoning. And the another surah 47, 42. And verily, whosoever shows patience and forgives, that would really be from the things recommended by Allah. And in Surah 47, and surely we shall try you till you taste who strive hard for the cause of Allah, and as Sabrin, that is patient. So in Surah 70, it is clearly said, so be patient with excellent patience. Next in Surah 74, be patient for the sake of your Lord. Similarly, there are a number of other surahs where uh, the importance of patience is demonstrated. So now the question arises, what the counselor should say to the counselee. So in this regard, there is one Surah 47. It is clearly said, God will test you in order to know those of you who truly work hard and have patience. In Surah 11, be patient. God does not waste the reward of those who do good. 13, peace be upon you. This is the reward for your patience. There is excellent for you. Be patient. Your patience is from God. And the last one is be patient and have trust in God. The patience, of course, is very important during the process of counseling. Now I come to the third letter, that is L. What I considered that the liaqat or ability is also very important. The counselors need to learn to build and improve the counselee's performance. Providing the ideal solution to the counselee is a positive approach of the counselor. The counselors ability develops trust and confidence in the counseling. The liaqat is the fundamental skill that a counselor needs in order to develop a therapeutic relationship with the counselee. A counselor should practice counseling with his ability. Ability helps to perform good actions. In the case of Islamic counseling, the ability of a counselor means that his or her actions or intentions are solely for the well-being of his clients. The liaqat is a purely divine attribute. Counselors who are able to alleviate the problems of clients, counselor who possess ability get the desired results. And the next characteristics, which is very much related to the letter L, is lihaz, that is respect and regard. Gelderd and Gelderd 2005 explain that regardless of who the client is and regardless of their behavior, the client comes to the counselor for assistance and deserves to be treated as a person of worth and value. Many counselors believe that there is good in each of us, and for the potential of that to surface, individuals need to feel appreciated and valued. The counsellor therefore have a responsibility to assist clients to feel good about themselves and to increase the client's sense of self-worth. So respect and positive regard is defined as a belief in each client's inner worth and potential and the ability to communicate this belief in the helping relationship. So this belief, once communicated, provides clients with positive reinforcement and relative to their innate ability to take responsibility for their own growth, change, goal determination, decision making, and eventual problem solution. According to Baruth and Robinson, 1987, respect and regard is often communicated by what the counselor does not do or say. In other words, by not offering to intervene someone, one is communicating a belief in the individual's ability to do for himself or herself. Within these values and beliefs, the language is very important. And the last L, letter L, the characteristic is lagav, attachment and relation. There should be positive attachment or relation between the counselor and the counselee. It helps in smooth execution of the counseling process. Since beginning till end, both the counselor and the counselee should work towards maintaining the positive relationship. The counselor's attachment and relations with counseling should be supported or supposed to be part of the Islamic counseling process. Now I come to the third letter, that is A, sorry. Within the A, akhlaq, good, that is conduct. Good manners should always be observed by the counselor. He should be polite and speak gently to the patient. Muslim counselors should be concerned about doing good to the counselee. Now I am going to quote few of the Quranic verses where the importance of conduct is emphasized. Number one, God has prepared a great reward for those of you who do good. Surah 33. Surah 42. He who does good, God increases his good. Similarly, Allah says, and verily you, Yani Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, are of an exalted standard of character. Surah 68. So, akhlaq denotes the inner strength of human, which leads to behavior. So, according to Zaidan, according to Zaidan 2000, akhlaq is a set of qualities which are embedded in the soul of a person, which leads to good or bad behavior. According to Al-Ghazali, akhlaq is a state of the soul which easily leads to behavior without having to first deliberate. If the resulting behavior is good, then the state of akhlaq is good. Likewise, bad akhlaq results in bad behavior. Thus, akhlaq is divided into two. Good akhlaq, it is known as al-akhlaq al-mahmuda, and bad akhlaq, al-akhlaq al-mazmuma. According to Al-Ghazali, good akhlaq consists of mahmuda, that is praiseworthy qualities such as repentance, patience, gratitude, fear, hope, and so on. Whereas bad akhlaq includes gossiping, prejudice, love of the world, arrogance, and so on. The counselor should make the counselee realize that the solution to every problem in their hand, that is, one's akhlaq or conduct, results in behavior. This aspect of cultivating akhlaq is an counseling session is important to prevent a counselee from the manifesting bad behavior which may cause harm to him or herself and others. And the next concept related to letter A is adab, good manners. Is an Arabic term meaning custom. It denotes a habit, etiquette, a manner of conduct derived from pupils considered as models. The word adab carries ethical and social implications. Adab also means good manners adopted by Islam. One of the great achievements of adab Islam has been their contribution to the unity of Muslims people and different parts of the globe. The religious character of Islamic manners derived from the Quran and the Sunnah plays an important role in this respect. The members of Islamic society reassert their solidarity on each occasion that they adhere to the ways of things which constitute their very tradition. Adab al-Islam creates a common understanding among Muslims. They form a universal culture among Muslims which gives shape and meaning to local culture. And adab is also related to adab of giving nasiha. Same in adab related to counseling have been presented in the book entitled Islamic Etiquette. First, the advisor should be sincere and have good niyyah, that is intention, in giving the nasiha, which is seeking the pleasure of Allah. Next, the advisor should show the person who is being advised his wrongdoing and support his advice with proofs and Sharia, that is Islamic teaching. Nasiha is to be given in secret and with kindness and gentleness and without causing offense. When Prophet Muhammad SAW wanted to advise someone, he did not suffer to him by name or expose him. He merely said, "What is the matter with some people?" Next, the believer loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So when one is asked for a nasiha, he should not hide it or hesitate to give it. At the same time, when one sees his fellow Muslim committing a fault or some wrong, he should take it upon himself and mind the shortcoming by giving nasiha and guide him towards his goodness, choosing the proper time to give nasiha. The one being advised may be angry or upset about something or grieved for something he could have lost or other reasons for preventing uh, from responding to the advice. Being sincere in giving nasiha, the advisor should not cheat the one who is being advised. The advisor should do his best to think carefully of the suitable advice. and the one being advised should not be arrogant and reject nasiha or not acting upon it. It is quote Islamic etiquette. And the last concept which relates well with the letter A is aurad. Aurad means sing, width, lit, exercise, practice or task, set form of prayers on daily recitation. There are many aurad which are believed to be of great efficacy in helping a traveler to attain nearness to God. The counselor can advise the counselee to recite durood or prayer of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are several forms of it. The shortest one which Muslims repeat when they utter the name of the Prophet or hear it being as pronounced to uh, repeat it. The mercy and mercy and peace be upon him. An extended form always used in namaz runs as follows: O God, have mercy upon Muhammad and on his descendants, as thou did have mercy upon Abraham and on his descendants. You art to be praised, thou art great. O God, bless Muhammad and descendants as you blessed Abraham and his descendants. You are to be praised and you great, great. Quote Badwai 2019. Now I come to the fourth letter of the letter Islam, that is Muhabbat, that is love. The Holy Quran says the believers are those who are strong in their love for Allah. Quote Surah 2. Next, Surah 19, God will pour love on those who believe and do good. Again, Surah Al-Baqarah, that's Surah 2, love of Allah is the essence of Islam, and yet among people are those who take other then Allah is equals to him. They love them as they should love Allah. But as those who believe are stronger in love for Allah. Quran, Surah 2. When a person's love for Allah is complete, his faith becomes perfect. When this love is flawed, the belief in the oneness of Allah becomes imperfect. So Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah said, quote, the heart is rectified by two things. One of them is that the love of Allah must take precedence over all others' love in this life. So that if this love of something else presented itself to him, the love of Allah would come first and his action would follow this heart. So one of the most important ideals of Islam is the concept of love, which has a divine origin. Ibn Miskawa also emphasizes the divine origin of love and sees uns, that is natural gregariousness or fellowship, as an intrinsic element in man's nature, the basis of muhabba in man, and the value which must be eager and required with one's fellow man. This uns is fostered by the Sharia and the religious ceremonies, and therefore it is a grace from God to man and manifest providence. Ibn Adi holds similar opinions with that of Miskava. To describe this divine origin which unites people, he uses the term insaniya. Quote Al-Shar 2015. So love is the source of life and the moving energy of all creativity. all religions, all ethics, and morality rotate around this concept. All other attributes, whether repentance, patience, penance, gratitude, contentment, seem secondary and subordinate to love. Ali Imam. So love is an attitude of mind, feeling, and will which is strong, deep, and enduring. It is the hunger of the human soul for divine beauty. Love is the motivating factor for all good things to happen. Love is an emotional factor, a kind of intense attraction towards that which people like best. Love of God is a part of Iman, faith. So this, so love is connected with the next word or with God. In this way, love is of four kinds. Number one, a man is loved for his own merits. It is possible that a man can become an object of love of another in a natural way when he sees him, knows him, and thinks he is good after seeing his character and conduct. Kareem book. Next, a man loves another for gaining the love of a third person. The things which becomes the person means of a dear thing becomes also dear. For this reason, gold and silver are the clear to the people through they have got no attribute of their own. Next, a thing is not loved for its sake, but for another thing which is not for good for this world, but for good for the next world. Kareem. And the last is love for the sake of God and for the sake of God. It is selfish and disinterested love. This is the highest kind of love, most secret and subtle. If love is strong, it spreads further. Love is for good. God is similar. When love for God envelops the heart, it rules the heart, and it even spreads over everything. The lover then sees his power in everything. Of course, many Muslims love the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's why they pray and fast. So in this regard, God through ibadah is an important matter in the life of Muslims. Now I'm going to explain the another term, murabbi. Murabbi means guardian. A good counselor should also be a murabbi, a nurturer of souls and developer of character. A counselor can develop this quality through meditation and wisdom, then his action will give him good results. He should not only be good listener as well as talk to others, but also be responsible for the development of character of the council. The values have transforming power for the development of character. And the last letter is muntahi, means learned or proficient. Muntahi, a counselor should be learned and proficient in the Quran and Hadith while applying his skill in doing Islamic counseling. The counselor should focus on the cultivation of these aspects in the counseling in order to cope effectively with their mental health problems. Contemporary counseling techniques are not addressing the cultivation of values for the spiritual growth of individuals, but in Islamic counseling, counselors should have begun to realize the importance of values in managing mental health related problems. The only cultivation of Islamic values can take the counselor closer to the counselee in terms of compassion and benevolence. Being guided by Islamic practices in self-regulation creates feeling of positivity. Now I am going to conclude my lecture. Since each dimension has its own place within Islam's matrix, it can perform its own functions, enable human beings to be at peace with themselves, community, and nature, and to gain happiness in both worlds. That is Iman, Ibadah and Ikhlas, Suluk, Salahiyat and Sabr, Liaqat, Lihaz and Lagav, Akhlaq, Adab and Aurat, and Muhabbat, Murabbi and Mufti should be considered as the practicing aspect of Islamic guidance and counseling. In order to attain faith, do righteous deeds. Counselor should transform bad deeds into good ones. In order to do the counseling, counselor must incorporate the 15th base or the steps and the qualities which I have pointed out, which can be linked into practice. The Iman without doing good deeds is as insufficient as good deeds without Iman. All these practical aspects of Islam have to be dealt with via ethical considerations. Muslims believe that God does not hold any person responsible until he has shown him her the right way. A human being must build his Iman and Suluk for seeking counseling or advice beyond any reasonable doubt. At the end, I also would like to uh, suggest, particularly those who are involved in kind of the counseling and those who are interested in practicing Islamic counseling, they need to evaluate the model what I proposed. That a model must be able to evolve in response to empirical findings. A test of the quality of this model will be how well it is effective in Islamic counseling. We look forward to many empirical studies that will show its effectiveness. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akbar Hussain Sahib, Professor Akbar Hussain Sahib, for such an enlightening and such a comprehensive and complete model that you are prescribing and suggesting for the Islamic counseling, but I would call it like more spiritual counseling. And I practice in America, and I can see that all those 15 ingredients that you have included in this model of Islamic counseling is very much applicable to, I guess, Eastern and Western society all over. Because all those things, like whatever you have jotted down, like Iman, faith, Ibadah, Ikhlas, suluk, skill, sabr, liaqat, lihaz, all these things are the basic requirement that a therapist need to imbibe and accept in their life before they start preaching and start doing the counseling to others. So this is, I consider this is very universal and very applicable, like in all situations. It doesn't matter whether we are working with Christian population or
Hmm.
Muslim population or any person of any faith. It doesn't matter. All these basic tenets and the qualities that you have jotted down here would definitely make a therapist really good, efficient therapist, and the efficacy when it comes to practice of psychology would be immensely valuable. So this model definitely, I'm a big fan of all these things that you have suggested, and I would highly encourage others to kind of imbibe all these basic principle. And this is like more an character building. And a counselor or a therapist should have all these basic ingredients
Yeah.
before they can start working as a therapist. So, if the audience, we have a good number of audience. So if anybody has any specific question, they're more than welcome to ask
Yeah, one
Professor
question is
Abdul Hussain Sahib.
Hmm.
Dr. Imam. One question is Q&A box, question answer box by Dr. Kaleem Alam.
Okay. It is difficult to apply this model by counselor on non-Muslim. Is this understanding correct? The question, Professor Akbar Hussain Sahib, is like, it is difficult to apply this model by counselor on non-Muslims. Is this understanding correct? So that is the question raised by Dr. Kaleem Alam Sahib. If you can
Yes,
answer.
Dr. Kaleem, basically, I made an attempt to relate this with the Muslim counselors because I have supported the concepts what I have explained here in the support of the Quran. But anyhow, but if you translate into English or the cultural language, so of course faith is very important aspect. Ibadah, prayer, no matter whatever the form of prayer one do, or the ikhlas, sincerity is also, because frankly speaking, in humanistic as well as therapies, or like Rogers, he emphasized only three aspects. That is unconditional positive regard, genuineness, okay, and spontaneity. So what I think that the Islam, the concept of Islam is more broader, and if we are able to cultivate all these qualities within, then definitely we can further transform, or we can further, I mean, you may say, be more effective counselor. Because in Islamic counseling also, as I told you earlier, only three aspects have been covered. That is Iman, oh sorry, Aqidah, Ibadah, and Akhlaq. So to me, they are not only sufficient. So that's why from the word Islam, basically, I consider it as an acronym and try to explain some other. If we are able, if we are able to, I mean, develop or imbibe these as qualities, then definitely would be more applicable. And there is no doubt that it is more uh, related to the Muslim counselors, but the characteristic when we do translate into English language, of course, there is nothing harm in it if the others or the people of other faith is also, because the iman or the faith, uh, particularly here, in the context of Muslims, faith is more on faith in Allah, faith in God, or oneness of the God, whereas they may have faith in different directions. They are non-Muslims, they may have faith uh, in if they also have a faith on one God, definitely it may provide more results. So faith is very important, no matter what, whether we use any religious therapy or non-religious. If the faith is not there, if the faith or the trust is, even in the case of therapist, if you have no faith, or uh, so definitely there is no such thing question arises about the alleviation of a particular problem. So of course this model is more pertinent and more related to the Muslims as compared to the non-Muslims. Yes.
Yes, Dr. Weil, do you have any question? Dr. Weil?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ashraf, for this great lecture. Thank you, Professor Akbar Hussain Saab,
Yeah.
my mentor, my teacher, my guru. Still, sir, we are learning from you, and we will
Okay, thank you,
remain.
sir. Yeah.
And we will remain. It was that much thorough. It was the model you have offered us today, as I see it, as a student of psychology, complete and left nothing for us who are in psychology. If Freudian aspects are included, Rogerian aspects are included, behavioral aspects which they emphasize on environmental issues are included in the model. Professor Akbar Hussain Saab talked to us today about. We feel proud of you. Sir, there is a verse in the Holy Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, verse number 30, which says, فأقم وجهك للدين القيم فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله ذلك الدين القيم. Stand your face for the religion of Islam, which is competent with instinct, with innate, with fitra.
Yeah.
That nobody can change, whether when it comes to fitra or when it comes even to the religion of Islam.
or even if it comes related with the taqwa,
Yes, sir.
piety.
Yes, yes, sir. And the same verse it says, which makes me sad. Most of people they don't know. In the same verse, Allah concludes, which most people they don't know. And sorry to say that even we are the Muslims, most of us we don't know. So, sir, how to make your model accepted to non-Muslims? No question about Muslims, but to non-Muslims. Is there a way to make it secular, to secularize it, as we in Islam, we Islamize something from here and something from there. So how to secularize such an Islamic model and to offer it to non-Muslims?
Okay, well, while you ask very relevant question, basically I propose this model related to the Muslim counselors. If this model can be transformed to Hindus, of course, so definitely in near future I shall try my level best to identify the concepts related in Hinduism, particularly in Gita. So what are those concepts which seems to be more related and which can be fit in within their model? I mean, that would be more accurate. But anyhow, at the moment, to begin with, what I suggest that this model is to be tested in the case of Muslim counselor, because this is the field which is an emerging area. Uh, I mean, you may say, with regard to practicing it. As in the last lecture, I also told, as far as the practicing aspects of Islam is concerned, it is not only confined to the moment or the present, rather than it can be executed even in the future also. So that's why at the moment I cannot say. I would like to reserve my comment. But any of the concepts, if you see, like patience or lagao or akhlaq and iman and faith, they may have a faith in the other, but not faith in oneness of God. So when faith is being transformed into piety, taqwa, so of course we have faith. Muslims, we, as a Muslims, or when we talk about the faith, we have faith in Allah, we have faith, uh, we have love for Allah, and we have fear of Allah, which is being translated into piety. But definitely this model can also be linked, and I shall also try my level best that how this model can be translated into other language, because the in counseling, the cultural aspect or the religious aspect of faith in relation to religion, that is very important. So that's why I proposed this model in relation to Islamic counseling.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other audience has any question, attendees? Please feel free. This is the opportunity for us to talk to Dr. Akbar Hussain Sahab, Professor Akbar Hussain Sahab. So please raise your hand and put the question if you have some.
Ibrahim Nuruddin.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi, Prof. Assalamu alaikum, sir, Prof.
Walaikum salam.
Good morning, sir. I'm calling from Nigeria, sir.
Okay, good. Ibrahim.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is a very wonderful program, sir, Prof. Yes, but my question is the applicability of counseling from Islamic perspective to some of our leaders. You know, as my last speaker raised, you know, most of our leaders are more of non-Muslim leaders.
Yeah.
So how can we make this kind of perspective to be more universal so that it can be highly applicable? Because if you can see most of our leaders that we are having now globally, not only in India, virtually here in Africa. So we are having challenges of leadership, sir.
But this
so
model,
how applicability it is, sir, Prof?
But as regards to its ability is concerned, as I told you, no matter whether you belong to India, Nigeria, or any other country, particularly those who are the followers of Islam, they can taste this model, particularly in relation to their Muslim client or Muslim counseling, not to the others, not to the others, because here for each concept we need to demonstrate, we need to tell to or realize the importance or significance of these concepts to the counselee, how these are more important with regard to prayer and or reading scripture or some whatever the form, like in the last of my lecture I told you that we are integrated Islamic counseling and using four major interventions. One is Aqidah, and the another is Ibadah, and the third one is related to cultivation of Islamic values, and the these three aspects are more important. But I added that the piety is also very important. Taqwa, piety is also important, which is reflected in terms of faith in Allah, love for Allah, and fear of Allah. And these aspects are to be assessed in the beginning of the session. When we establish rapport with the client, then we need to, you may say, evaluate that how this can be, or these aspects can be more important. But in order to explain more concepts and more qualities which are more desirable, so what I consider more desirable qualities which are to be present among the Muslim counselors, that's why I explained 15 different qualities, not to stick to the 3 or 4 aspects. So in the beginning, to begin with, Ibrahim, one can do researches. Okay, just you list these qualities and give to the counselors, who, irrespective of their religious faith, you give to it and to ask them to list how much you attach importance to faith or ibadah, akhlaq, and so all qualities. So we should identify those, because there may be a chance that it may also vary from culture to culture also. So to prepare these as a list, okay, and ask them how much importance you attach to these uh, qualities which are needed among the Muslim counselor. Accordingly, you can do it. So similarly, those who are non-Muslims, this list can also be given in the not exactly the words what I used in Arabic and Urdu literature. These words what I coined, the qualities what I've coined is these are more related to Arabic language as well as the Urdu language. Urdu language. But anyhow, in the case of non-Muslim, one can give these in the form of English language and ask them whether how much they consider important. So such type of empirical investigation, empirical study is to be conducted first. After that, then how much they utilize, how much they think that these are needed in the in terms of their or they use in terms of their as a counseling practice. So this is the topic which what I consider is more important.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ibrahim, you send me your email. Okay, I will send you some other material also. The book published by Institute of Objective Studies, where there are a number of Quranic verses related to Quranic therapy and Islamic guidance and Allah's guidance, and I hope that it will serve the purpose.
Okay, sir. I will, sir, Prof.
More by Abi Ashraf.
Yes, sir. So I'm just asking the audience if anybody has other questions for Akbar Hussain Saab.
5 minute और पूछ लीजिए थोड़ा सा.
Yeah, so we only have 5 more minutes left, so Akbar Saab has to go. So inshallah, if anybody has any question, please don't hesitate. This is the opportunity for us to ask and raise our hand, inshallah. If nobody has any question, then I would love to conclude, because Akbar Saab had, and he needs some rest also, inshallah. So
Yeah.
again, like going back to the same model that I was just telling a few minutes prior, that all these 15 ingredients of Islamic counseling is very much, because I am practicing here in America for more than a decade now. For 15 years, I'm working here in mental health, and now I have my private practice also. And I can see that all these basic ingredients, it doesn't matter from which, for which population we are working, because our population here that we work, they're mostly Christian, white people. But all these things the Akbar Sahib has recommended, if we accept all these basic qualities, then definitely in our profession as a counselor and as a therapist, this will definitely add more glamour and charm into our personality. And then what would happen, that we will be able to deliver our services, keeping under consideration the values that are attached to the therapy. Because in US situation, the liability is huge here. So if we stick to all these tenets of Islam, coming straight from Islam, so we are working under all these, values that Akbar Sahib has suggested. So we will be very high in morale and ethical and spiritual. So if we stick to all these things, then there will be no liability in, inshallah, if we work as a therapist here in any country or anywhere. So sticking to all these high moral, ethical practices and spiritual dimensions definitely adds more charm into therapist, and definitely it will make us a very good, therapist and psychotherapist, inshallah. So I would suggest Akbar Sahib to kind of get together with other professionals also and kind of do more empirical studies, so that it becomes like generalized and we can apply over
Yeah.
all the professions. And if we can incorporate like Christian also counseling also in this, because Christian counseling is very prominent in US situation. We can also incorporate Christian, Islamic plus Hinduism and Buddhism, all these things. If we make a combination of everything, and whatever clients we see, we can, do the customized therapy accordingly, inshallah. So thank you so much, Professor Akbar
Okay.
Hussain.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you, sir.
your
Thank you, sir.
session.
We will have
Okay.
it again, inshallah.
Okay. While inshallah I
Thank
will
you,
send
sir.
you, while Islam, inshallah I will send you this book, which is being published recently.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My appreciation.
you.
Okay.
خدا حافظ. خدا
Khuda
حافظ. بأمان الله.
Walaikum
بأمان
Assalam.
الله.
Thank you again very much to the IOS and all the team, Dr. Manzoor Sahib and his team, for giving us this opportunity that we can have this